You guys are watching the rest of the story. It's the end of the day, and I got to throw a couple videos together. So I'm going to address a couple questions I've had. One of the questions I've had is our light-duty tractor, our light-duty jobs, also known as our chore tractors. See, the 4020 is what I would classify as a chore tractor. Same thing with that 76 over there. The 76 used to do more heavy work. It used to pull the 630 disc, although not very extensively. Now, what classifies a chore tractor around here? What that would be is a tractor that does the light duty work. As you can see, cutting weeds, cultivating, raking hay, practically any hay work. They say cutting hay is actually probably the most work-intensive job you could give them, and that's usually what the 76 actually does, is cut hay and bale. The 4640 has been on the round baler in the past. There's no reason I actually couldn't go ahead and put it on again. It's just as far as preference, as far as running it, the 76 is a lot more fluid when you go to back up and eject a bale. The 46, with that quad range in it, it's a little bit more tedious at times to get it back in reverse and then back in forward. So with the 19-speed power shift, the 76 really does a better job at that. As you guys can see, lately we've been in kind of cleaning up the fields and pastures mode. See, I was running this today and Ryan was running that. Both at different farms. I think you guys have a video on how farms work to look forward to. Not quite sure if there's anything on it. I haven't done anything video-wise, or I haven't even ran that rhino cutter yet. I would call it a bat wing, but I was told it's not a bat wing. The problem is I can't remember what they called it. But I plan on taking the 15-footer rhino down to my place tomorrow and cleaning up some pastures. What I end up using the 4020 for, I went and cut a bunch of waterways that I can't get to with the 76, because I can actually straddle the rows with the 4020, the soybean rows. The corn is too tall to drive over anymore. I'm gonna say I'd do more damage than I would good. But the dogs can hear me barking. Or not. The dogs can hear me talking, so they're starting to bark. But these two tractors are usually our go-to tractors. They don't use as much fuel, typically. Usually the 76 is the one I go to first. It probably does the most work as far as cutting, raking, and baling. The 4640 is going to be on that rhino rake that we got for the most part the rest of the summer. It usually goes between both these tractors as to who gets put on the bale carrier. Well, we'll just go through that real quick. As far as making hay, cutting hay, normally the 76, 4640 when it needs to be. Raking or tedding hay could be done with the 4020 or the 7600. We'll end up putting it on the 4020 for the most part, because that requires very little horsepower, hardly any. Raking hay. Raking hay can be done by all three of these. It could even be done by that 8230 back there. Let's say there's a farmer just over the hill that was raking waterways up with those rotary rakes, those European style ones that everybody says is so great. They had it on a big case, like 305 I think it was, with duals all the way around it. But no, it would typically fall between the 46 and the 76. We could put it on the 4020. It does have 3 SCVs on it, but we can get around that by not running, actually I think it's the width, because you can adjust the width on the rake. I guess I haven't ran it in a couple weeks now. It's not coming to my mind as far as what would be best for. Then round baling. typically the 7600 is going to round bale. The 46 can round bale, and in a pinch, the 8235 could run the baler. The reason I wouldn't want to run the 82 on it very much, and honestly even the 4640, is because the baler is not meant to handle, is not meant to be ran by a tractor with that much horsepower. The 76, it's 140 at the dyno, or on the PTO, and that's not stock. I think it's only supposed to be like 115 horse, but we had some injector work done to it, and we didn't even tell them to turn it up. It's just when we sent it down, they typically turn them up 10 or 15%, and it came back. We put it on the dyno before the dealership brought it home, and it maxed out at 138, and I round up to 140 because it's easier to say $1.40. That round baler, you start shearing. There's a cross shaft that goes out of the gearbox behind the PTO shaft that goes across and runs the chains, or well, it drives the baler. Well, there's a shaft in there that you tend to break if you get too many horses on the front. I was talking to a salesman, said that they had an issue with that with a customer, that they were running like a 280 horsepower tractor on their baler, and the baler was just shook. And I saw this baler as a 568, but I didn't know anything about that. It just looks like it's been used, and it was. Yeah, the 7600 is the grain wagon tractor. You guys have seen that. It gets put on the M&W, and I use it to haul grain from British to here. 4020 will be put on the auger. 4020 runs the cultivator, the tedder, and that's really all she does. We did cut stalks, corn stalks with it a couple years ago with that 8-foot cutter, but now that we have that Rhino, the 7600 will be cutting stalks. But the thing is, we got about 80 fodder bales ahead from last year, or still from last fall. So we won't be making near as many this year. So that stock, as far as cutting stalks to that Rhino this year, probably isn't going to happen too much. But the 4640 is going to be cleaned up. The planter is going to get washed up again and put away for a little while. We got to do a bunch of work to that because I guess it's going to be out for the farm day. That 9510 back there, you guys can see it. I actually have to pull that out. Typically 1st of August. We'll pull that out and go through and do a bunch of work to it, belts and fluids, and grease it and check it over for any bearings. It's been a habit I've been doing in the past. I've actually been pulling it out in August and going through it because it's a lot more relaxed working on it when it's 70s, 80 degrees out than pulling it out a week before we want to be harvesting and find a major issue with it. But yeah, a lot of questions about if we'll ever buy a bigger combine. Yes, we will. When? I couldn't tell you. Will it be an S-Series combine? Very unlikely. It all depends on where we are. Whenever the time comes, we buy a new to us or a used combine. It's probably going to be like a 9660, 9670. 9680 is probably a little too big for us. Maybe. I don't know. I need something I can run a 12 row and like a 25 to a 30 foot bean head. Would really like a 9770. That's what we'd end up looking at first and then going from there. But it all depends on who buys it. The 9510 is my dad's, and it all depends if Dad buys a new combine or trades that off on a new combine, or I go buy a new combine. It's up in the air right now. We're not actually looking to make any purchases. I actually like to kind of sit on my hands as far as making any new purchases until December, November, and see where we stand for the year. And I hate to tell you guys, But as far as any new equipment purchases, if you watched my little red heifer video, I'm actually not looking at buying any equipment this year or any major purchases this year. If I have any free cash I can put towards something, it's probably going to be towards beef heifers, red Angus beef heifers, because I want to build up my beef herd. I'm trying to invest in beef cows, something that will bring me my money back. I'm looking for investments. And as much as iron is fun to buy and fun to operate, for the time being, what we have will do what we're doing. If I could get between 50 to 100 head of beef cows producing calves, if I can get the cows paid for, and then all it is maintenance and vet bills, and try to raise them as efficiently as I can and sell feeders. I'll sell them as feeders is the plan. I don't see me finishing any of my own calves out, but we'll see. I have to get the cattle first. And with that, that's just a quick rundown of our light duty tractors, our bigger operating tractors, our heavy duty tractors that can be used as light duty tractors. We put the 8235 on the disc bind once. That probably will never happen again, but hey, we never know. I was asked by a viewer to put the 4640 on the disc bind for second crop. And you know what? Why not? Maybe we will. I don't see any reason why we can't. We just gotta get to second crop actually, because there isn't much there. It looks like it when you're looking at a distance, but it's really thin, really thin if you go out and walk through it. All right, that's enough. I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you in a few minutes because I have another video to go do. So.